My name's Rasma Kass and I've been working in and managing remote and global teams since 2000. I'm very excited to have this opportunity to share with you my tips and experiences and observations about global working. I also asked some of my colleagues and former team members to give me their input as well.
As a manager, how do you overcome the issues with working in different time zones?
I think the most important thing is to understand exactly which time zones are being worked in your team. Then I think you need to discuss with each team member what are considered to be acceptable or unacceptable working times. Then additionally, I think you need to take into account the local laws. You need to check those in each country, as working hours can be different.
I used to work in a global team managed by Rasma. I was working in APAC time zone while my counterparts are in Europe or American time zone. I often need to attend the nightly conference calls, also sometimes need to work in weekends to meet business requirements. Rasma has introduced flexible working hours for the team, so I'm able to take some time off afterwards. I really appreciated this. It greatly motivated me to communicate with my colleagues or support customers beyond my normal working hours.
So don't you get confused when working with people around the globe, especially about what time is it in their particular country?
Yes, it can be quite confusing sometimes, but what I did was I established a common time, if you like, that we would all speak in. So regardless if people were based in the US or Singapore, we'd fix, for example, Central European time as the time that we'd use to fix our meetings.
How have you coped with the complexity of hiring employees in remote locations? Do you have any tips to share?
Yes, I do actually. I've hired people in remote locations before, and often what I do is I carry out some phone interviews, but actually I never end up meeting the person face to face until sometimes 6 months later. But what I do is I ask local HR persons or trusted local managers or even employees of mine working at the same site if they can take part in the local face-to-face interviews, and that way they also cover the local topics.
How have you managed cultural and working style differences?
I think what I've done in the past is that I've established particular ground rules on which communication methods to use. So you need to consider the various technologies available and, for example, agree that instant messaging is used for when you have questions that require a quick answer, and use email if the topic's going to be lengthier. Also, I think it's important to have one-on-one time with people, and you need to agree with the person how often they want to have the one-on-one time. And I think it's really important to make sure that that one-on-one time is really used to get to know the person. There are different ways of doing that one-on-one time as well. You can do it by phone, or you can do it by video conference, and that's really down to a person's personal preferences, whether they want to see you face-to-face or whether they're happy just to do it by phone.
How can you ensure that teams working across different locations work together?
A way of keeping in touch with remote teams spread across the globe is, for example, as a manager to ask them to provide you with some short highlights of their past working week. And in one case, I actually even asked them to give me an idea of the plans for the upcoming week. I then compiled those together in one email and sent it out to the whole team. That was really important for them because they were working all together on one topic. They needed to know each other's movements and plans.
I can imagine that running remote meetings can be quite chaotic and decision making is difficult.
Actually, I found a few tips to manage remote meetings. So first of all, don't get distracted by latecomers to the meeting and have a crisp start to your meeting. I found by using online web conferencing tools like WebEx or Live Meeting that you can also use their interactive polls, which allow for fast and easy decision making. Remote meetings allow you to practice active listening, and you don't get distracted by a whole bunch of people in the same meeting room.
Reduces the number of meetings or length of meeting time due to the time zone differences. Forces efficiency with meetings. Due then to reduced meetings, allows more personal work time for tasks without meeting distractions.
And another former team member reminded me of another trick I used to use.
You used to ask us where we were sitting in the meeting room, and then you draw a picture so that you could imagine where we were all sitting across the whole world. That was just one example, but you have always really managed to create a close feeling regardless of the distance.
What tools have you come across recently which helps to improve the global working experience?
I have to say that when I was first introduced to Socialcast, which is a kind of a cross between Facebook and Twitter for companies, I found that really filled a gap for remote workers. It gives an opportunity to have an informal kind of a chat that you might normally have face-to-face at a coffee machine, but in an online kind of a way. I find that when these tools are introduced to global companies, it really gives a chance to everybody across the whole globe to pull together and to be kind of equal. Maybe I can ask you a question as someone who's worked in a remote team. What was important for you?
My first experience with remote working started about 10 years ago when you recruited me to your European team whose colleagues spread across 7 different countries. Despite the fact that we were located in different countries, we very soon developed a much closer relationship than with my former line manager, who was just sitting one office next to mine. You achieved this by allowing a lot of one-to-one time and really showing a genuine interest in what I was doing. We did not necessarily need to meet face-to-face. You were able to inspire such trust by using all the different tools and tips which you already have been sharing with us.
Thanks for your encouragement. About meeting face-to-face, I think this depends very much on the individual. I had some team members who found it really important to at least once meet me and their colleagues, and especially in order to build trust.
When I first joined the team, line manager or team members to me is just some names in email. I cannot see their face, never know their background. Rasma made effort to visit my office and introduced herself to me, and we have talked a lot about both work-related or non-work-related. This helped to build the trust, and I know I have no hesitation to speak out my suggestions or concerns to her later on.
It's Elsie Paramore. As you can see, I'm located in Sydney, Australia. I've been working for Rasma for the past 18 months or so, and I can't give her any more praise than being a wonderful boss. She's able to draw out the best in her team, even though we're located all over the globe. Her easy and approachable manner and her style of communication is just confident and brings out the best in her team. So please consider Rasma. She's one of the best.